Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Jeff Mendelson, and this is the One Big Tip podcast. My guest today is author Danny Alfon. Danny joined LinkedIn in early 2004 when he started publishing articles, interviews, and exclusive content about advanced strategies for clients and subscribers. Realizing that LinkedIn is a great platform for lead generation as well, he created a strategy that he shares with his clients to help them grow their business by leveraging LinkedIn to their advantage. By having them use rich media in their profile, they make a memorable impact on prospective leads and setting their brand apart from the competition. And today he shares with us his framework to help you grow your business using LinkedIn to your advantage. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to the show, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on the One Big Tip live event. Thank you.
I we were talking a little bit on the pre-show about how long you have been doing this for, right? So, as I read in the intro, you've joined this platform in 2004, right? It took you a couple of years, until you got really serious with it. And one of the things that really impressed me was that this platform really does have a long time available to us, right? And it has outlasted most other platforms that people have logged into, like Friend Finder and and MySpace and Facebook. You could conceivably argue is going on the way out, but LinkedIn is really that business platform, and it's still going strong and people still love it, and they're really only making it better, right? Like nobody talks crap about LinkedIn, right? And I think that's really telling about, first of all, how great the platform is, and second of all, how useful it is in the business community, right? Can you tell us a little bit, give us a little bit more insight on your background, how you came into this, and why was LinkedIn the magic bullet for you?
With pleasure, Jeff. So at one point, I held a quota carrying job in sales, and it took me a long time to close my first sales. And I noticed that LinkedIn showed me the name of my ideal prospect. And back at the time, it meant I reduced my sales cycle by at least 30%. So that was the aha moment that made me understand something under the hood is interesting about the LinkedIn platform. And ever since you hit record, hundreds of people have joined LinkedIn. Two people sign up every single second.
So two people signing up every second, right? And you have this you have this platform where basically you're putting your resume together, on steroids. And it just creates this really great database for people to be able to, not only to find you, but to find others as well. Right. So, just for the sake of, people who are maybe on the fence or don't understand, some of LinkedIn's premium features, what do you think are like the most used features in your book, both from the free side, and then once you get up in the premium, and then the sales navigator, like what do you think are the most important features, for each one of those?
Oh, so the first thing to remember is that for most people, when we Google them, their LinkedIn profile is going to be top of the list. Even if, Jeff, they haven't logged in for LinkedIn for 6 months. So you got to make it professional because your prospects are likely to visit LinkedIn and make up their mind whether they continue or they reach out to you. So it's your calls to make. And if you compare LinkedIn to, search engine optimization and SEO, if you decide that your profile should go one way, within 30 seconds, you can show it. If you have a new offer, if you move, if you pivot, then you can simply update it fast and for free. I don't think premium is worth it unless you really know under the hood what's happening. The free account offers a ton of possibilities. Most users will never even use 20% of the free opportunities. So you've got to look professional, and it's up to you to make it so.
What's interesting is that I got my MBA in 2006. In my graduation present to myself, was a professionally written, MBA corporate style resume, right? So, and I remember back then it was, it was $500, and I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I paying for that? Right. And 90% of that content I was able to copy over and just create a great profile back then, right? Including, like my cover letter, and how this writer articulated my experience, and it really created a powerful platform for people to be able to find me and to understand who is Jeff, and what is Jeff all about. But some of the cool things about the platform is that now it has grown so that you can add a lot of rich media. So now you can add videos, you can do lives on it. You can really you can do video profile, instead of just having a static picture, you can put a short video up there. What are some of the things that you've seen that have been most effective over the past couple of years that have made LinkedIn a much more powerful platform than before?
That's such a powerful question. The video cover that you mentioned is relatively unused by people. 99% of LinkedIn users, and we're close to 1 billion members, haven't uploaded one, and very few even saw any video cover. So that's a really creative way for you to stand out, because anyone visiting your profile can click on that photo and actually see you for 20 seconds, 25 seconds, and that could make you stand out from your competition. Other things that LinkedIn has changed or updated in the last couple of years include a varieties of ways for you to become a creator. The creator mode is becoming more important in LinkedIn. My impression is that LinkedIn is gradually trying to make everyone a creator by providing additional analytics tools to those who turn on the creator mode. And something that's not new, but it's always important, is that you have to remember the keywords that your prospects are likely to use when they perform search on LinkedIn, because search and advanced search is one of the best free, best kept secrets in the LinkedIn community. Is when you know what you're looking for, you can identify the right service provider, and it's important to include the right keywords in your own profile so your prospect can find you.
Amazing, amazing stuff. So, what are some of the better hacks that people can use? Like, one of the things I noticed, like on Facebook, for example, like there are these, like you can use different fonts, to sort of pimp your about me, out. Like I use emojis because I think they're colorful and they help things stand out. What are some of the cooler things you can do to make your profile stand out and more noticeable for others to find?
Okay, so there's a workaround that enables you. LinkedIn usually doesn't allow any formatting of the text itself. In other words, you can't have bold or italics or underscore, but there's a way with a third-party solution for you to have some special characters in it, or special weight for the text to be perceived. And special characters are also a way, like emojis, they could make it easier for the reader to understand what you're offering. And maybe the next step would be to mention a simple framework about the way you can conceive or think about your own profile, if you'd like.
What is your impression on LinkedIn automation? I know LinkedIn, on its core, frowns upon it, but there are certainly lots of applications out there that can help you with it. And, I definitely have my opinions, but I'd like to hear yours about how, effective can it be, when it can be used, and when you should absolutely avoid it.
Cool. So short answer, I wouldn't advise anyone to use LinkedIn automation at all, no matter what.
Wow.
Because at one point it's very clear cut for me, because at one point, not only will LinkedIn try to stop you from using the exact tool that you'd like, but your account might become restricted. It means you will no longer be able to send invitations to people without providing their email address, and your whole LinkedIn activity is going to be restricted, and it's a big price to pay. You have to make a choice. I made my choice, and I decided that organic LinkedIn is the best way for me to gain referrals, if you like. There are two ways to go about it. One is quality, and the second is quantity. Quality means you have a close network of people who you know well. So if I look you up and I see that we share some mutual connections, I'm able to reach out to any of them and ask them to put me in touch with you. Because I see that there are 3 or 4 podcasters whom we share. And because I limited my network only to people I know well, if it's important for me to reach out to you, I will be able to reach Sarah St. John or Roy Coughlin or Josh Elledge or Michael Levitt. Because Michael Levitt, who runs the Breakfast Leadership show, or Josh with the Thoughtful Entrepreneur, or Roy Coughlin with speaking, or the Frugalpreneur with Sarah St. John, I'm able to reach out to them, and that was my choice. The second option is to have a large number of connections and to run and to aim for exposure. And probably the worst connection strategy would be to try and have both. Because you have to make a choice. You can't have your cake and eat it. You can't have a large number of people and also know them. It's mutually exclusive.
One of the things that's interesting for me is that I feel that the LinkedIn messaging platform I get a lot more, like I can already tell when these are, when these are automated. First of all, the timing is too perfect. Exactly 24 hours from the point that I allowed them into my space in the first place. Other times I see them sometimes even using the same script. Right. And I could just see like, dude, like who's teaching you how to do this? Because they're obviously teaching 150 people how to do the exact same thing. And what happens is, it kind of cheapens the experience, right? To your point, where I'm not really getting this great, this great value out of this program. I'm more swatting flies, right? And especially in the digital marketing space, because I get all manners of people all the time that are trying to sell me more digital marketing services. Like, hey, can we do appointment setting for you? Can we do content writing for you? Things like that. That seems to be the types of people that I attract. There was a time when I would get all the headhunters. Headhunters would come out of the woodwork like cockroaches and just try to get me to sign up for jobs and things like that. And it was so annoying because it was like, dude, I'm not, like that's not what I'm into anymore, right? And there are certain things that you can do to your profile, to sort of pivot that. You can change your tagline, I help or I serve, people that X do Y, right? You can make better indications of on your cover photo and on your profile photo. One of the more interesting tools that I've seen are people that have changed their first name on the on the platform to put an emoji in there first, right? Because that is something that the automation tools, at least initially, don't pick up on. So if it says like, "Hey, smiley face, Jeff, thank you for the connection," it's like, "Hey, wait a second, yeah, that's not the way natural people write. They're not going to go out and go look for that same emoji. They go and they would actually go and type out the name." And I think what happens is that there's a lot of there's a lot of noise out there that you need to get through in order for you to get, in order for you to cut through that and make the platform more engaging, right? So, so digital marketer, from one to another, what would you say is like the single biggest tip you can give someone to really make their profile, not only marketable, but also more interesting for others to see and to be findable?
Excellent. So I'm going to share with you 3 questions. First question, Jeff, is who's your ideal reader on LinkedIn? Okay, the ideal prospect usually. going back to the headhunters, employees looking for work, their ideal reader is going to be the next hiring manager. But if we stick to entrepreneurs, then maybe our ideal reader, for the sake of this one big tip, is a business owner who considers launching a podcast. And they could reach out to you to help them with setting it up and monetizing it. And so this has to be the first decision. Who's your ideal reader on LinkedIn? And the second question is, if we were able to make those people visit your own profile, what action, Jeff, would you like them to perform after they've read your profile? So what is the golden link you'd like them to go to? And if the golden link for you is jeffmendelsohn.com, then are you making it as easy and frictionless as possible to see that this is the next logical step? In other words, are you providing your reader, your ideal reader, with the right information in the right order at the right time, so they understand that visiting your golden link is going to help them because you are part of the solution? So question number one, who's your ideal reader? Question number two, what action would you like them to perform? And frankly, the third question is the toughest. If you can imagine yourself as an ideal reader who doesn't know Jeff Mendelsohn and visits your profile, do you think you're likely to make that action, to go to your website within 5 seconds? And in many cases, there's a gap. So if you identify the gap, go back to your LinkedIn profile and make it aligned with your objective. If your objective is to have more people on a strategy call, then that needs to be the call to action that's easily understood. If you want them to book a time with you to discuss launching a podcast, then this should be your primary call to action. So, and that's something that anyone can implement now. Just think about your ideal reader. If you wake up at 4 a.m. and you can define one niche, what's it going to be? And you usually know the action you'd like them to perform. Now go and visit your profile and make sure that they're likely to perform that action.
You know what's interesting about the point you just made is the call to action, right? So a lot of times what happens is, people bring you get brought to a website that's basically all about me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who is Jeff? Why is Jeff awesome? And it really should not be, all about me. It should really be all about you, right? Because at the end of the day, I want Danny to see himself in the service that I'm providing, right? I want to make Danny the superhero. I don't need to be the superhero in this story. And that call to action, to actually ask them to do something and to take the next step. There's this great classic movie called Glengarry Glen Ross, and what's his name? Alec Baldwin. He gets up and he writes ABC on the board, always be closing, right? And I tell people that, and usually when I bring up that reference, it's like a light bulb goes off. It's like, shit, you're right. It's like, you should always be closing. You should always be, always be leading them to the next step so that they know exactly, why they're there. And if your message speaks to them, they will move on to the next step and they will pick up that phone and they will schedule that call with you. And I think that's one of the most important things is that, LinkedIn being this platform that actually puts it out there, you really should be pivoting your message. So it's not just who is Jeff and why is Jeff awesome, but how can Jeff help you? Or, how can Danny help you? And that's really one of the best, one of the best ways to use this platform. So thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome. I was listening to an episode you released with Jared Loftus, and you discussed the content that resonates with your reader. So if we can combine this with what we've just discussed, the call to action should not be bottom of the funnel. It should be top of funnel. Okay. Usually the best way to leverage LinkedIn is to help people discover your website in the top of the funnel in the awareness stage, because no one is going to visit your profile and within 5 seconds become a paying client. But because conversion is likelier to happen on your website, then your profile should serve that purpose. And you should think of your website, of your LinkedIn profile, as a website that needs to convert your ideal reader and not as an online resume of yours if you're in business. If you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter whether you worked for that company in Fort Lauderdale in 2017 or 2019. How can you serve that reader is an important question people asking, and we need to serve them by making them understand that they're missing something out if they're not visiting our top of funnel content. So what questions are people who struggle with launching a podcast asking themselves? Maybe they have tech questions. How much time would it take me? How will I find guests? What sort of equipment do I use? If you're able to provide them with quality evergreen answers to those questions, then you've performed a great task because you've shown them, I can take you from point A to point B in a baby step. And when they've done that, then you can tell them there's a whole C and D I can walk you through. And the next step is going to that link or some gated content or download something else.
Amazing, amazing advice. Thank you so much for sharing that. Daniel, can you please let everyone know how they can learn more about you and how they can reach out to you directly if they want to get in contact?
With pleasure. The best place to go is my website. That's danielalfon.com, ALFON. Plenty of content there. It's been a pleasure to be part of the One Big Tip podcast.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been I love nerding out on this stuff, especially, like some of the great tools and even some of the free tools that, people can use to really increase their business. And LinkedIn is definitely a core pillar of that. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you joining the show.